Hello, hello.
Hi.
Welcome everyone. Welcome, Bella. Great to see you. Yeah, really thrilled. Got something a little bit different for everyone today. I have got Bella, who is a developer. She has developed 2 of her own homes over the last 10 years and is doing something a little bit out there to sell the property, or she's going to raffle, or is currently raffling her property. So a really, really interesting interview today, and I'm really looking forward to this because when we first started chatting about it, I was like, wow, that is just so interesting. Not only all that you have done before to develop your own properties, but to go down this alternative route at the end. So yeah, Bella, just introduce yourself. Just let us know, who you are. Are you a mum? Are you married? All of these kind of things, so that we can get to know you a little bit more.
Cool. So, hi, Emma. Thanks for having me on today. So, my name is Bella, and yeah, I have 2 boys. I'm married to Nick. We live in Battle in East Sussex. Our 2 boys have been home ed for the last, since the COVID times. So, we have quite a busy life with 2 teenage boys at home. And we have built 2 houses in the last 10 years. I've moved 27 times in my life, but over the last 10 years, we've done 2 big house builds. So our whole world is really all about property. Nick and I met only, I think it's about 18, 19 years ago. And whilst we bought our first house as a new build, we then went from there to a cottage, which we did a big extension on, 2-story extension. And then the journey kind of started from there, where we decided rather than just worrying about an extension, we'd build a full-on house. And here we are. Yeah, a few years on from that with our second one.
I love it. I love it. And in fairness, we have an awful lot in common, don't we? So I live about, I don't know, 20 minutes away from Bella. I'm also just on the edge of the Sussex-Kent border. We also both, I home educated my boys as well. I've got twin boys. So yes, we literally have, and we've even got sort of friends in common, haven't we? So yeah, it's been quite an interesting situation. So yeah, let's go back. I'd love to talk to you about the build basically, and how you got there. So obviously you just mentioned that you bought a property and you did an extension, and that kind of gave the thought process, did it? How did it come to the fact where you've built this incredible property?
So I was always really interested in architecture and have always had a love for creating, lovely spaces. So I'm a Taurian, and, where I live, it doesn't matter if it's if we're on holiday and we're camping or we're staying in a little log cabin somewhere, I always want to make it as beautiful as I possibly can, because I feel so much happier when I'm in a place which is tidy and clean and aesthetically really pleasing. So I've always been very sort of interested in interiors and property. And I think what happened was in the when we moved from the new build into the cottage, and there was so much potential with the house, but it was just, question of working out how we could make it a better space, because it was far too small for us. We bought it because we just loved the actual location. It was very close to the boys' kindergarten that they were going to, but in reality, it was too small for us. So it was just going through that process of how we could create a much nicer space. And then we just watched lots and lots of grand designs. And I think there's another program, Small Spaces. I can't remember the name of the show.
Yeah.
The one with George?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think it is called something like Small Spaces or
Yeah,
something.
Amazing Small Spaces or something.
Yeah.
And his colleague is local to us in Lewis, and got really interested in watching those programs. And I think we just thought, well, actually, there's all these people that are building their own properties. Why can't we do it? So we started looking for land, and you know, before we knew it, our house was on the market and we had a buyer. And then we came across a piece of land which was near to the boys' then school, because they'd moved by that time from the kindergarten to a different school. And we came across this land in Punnettstown, so you'll know, just up the road from Battle. And the first time we went to look at it, it was pouring with rain. It was a really cold, horrible day. And we turned up and we just thought, oh my gosh, you know, this is just, it's not for us. It's too exposed. It just felt wrong. There was something about it that we just didn't like. And although Punnettstown's a lovely place, and actually there were stunning views to the property, but you couldn't really appreciate them that day because there was this terrible howling gale. And so, yeah, it didn't feel right. We went away, and then we kept on looking, and nothing else was coming up that seemed suitable. And then one day I was back on Rightmove, because you know how it is. You're just constantly on there every single day looking to see what's coming up. And this plot came back on from Punnettstown, because it had gone on the market and gone under offer, and then it came back on. And I rang Nick, and as I called him, he was calling me to say the same thing. Guess what? The property in Punnettstown is back on the market. And something told us both that we needed to go back and look at it, because they'd reduced the price on it. And so actually, maybe it hadn't gone under offer. Maybe it was just that it had been reduced in price and had been remarketed. And of course, this was a few weeks down the line. The weather was completely different. We went to review. It's a sunny day. We can see down to the sea, because you can see right down to the South Downs. We were like, oh my gosh. So massive lesson for us and for people looking for property. You cannot make a decision from necessarily the first viewing, because things change. Your perspective changes. The price might change. The weather will definitely change. And so when we went the second time, it was just like, oh my gosh, this place is gorgeous. And we sort of realised that there was a lot of potential for development, because there was a little barn there which was able to be potentially converted into a small property. So we just snapped it up. That day we put in an offer and it was accepted. And by that point, I think we were already under offer. And so everything then went really quickly. We actually did get gazumped once, but I went and had a chat with the owner, and you know, the guy that gazumped us didn't even have his property on the market. It was a ridiculous scenario. We had to pay a little bit extra for the house, but it was worth it, well, for the land, because there was no property there. It was an old shack and then the barn. Anyway, we moved in not long after that, and we lived in a static caravan and a yurt on site. And
so let's just stop. Let's just go back 2 steps. So that's amazing. So this is I really love these kind of stories. So you got gazumped. So for most people, let's be fair, that would be an absolute disaster. I'm sure at the moment, in that moment, it was pretty disastrous.
Yeah.
But rather than, and let's be fair, bad things happen to absolutely everyone, you know, SH1T happens, as they say. It's how you go about it. And I certainly see that just in day-to-day stuff, whether it's your kids, whether it's property, whether it's your business, whether it's relationships, whatever it is, these things happen. So you kind of were obviously like, what is going on? But just talk us through how you're already in that conversation, because that's really interesting. And also, I just want to say as well, guys, if you've got any questions, do drop them in. Let us know. And in fact, we are going to put a link so that you can actually follow as well. You can go on to Bella's Facebook page and actually see the property as well. So do talk us through you know, that conversation, because I think that is really interesting.
Yeah, and Emma, by the way, Win a Dream House on Instagram is where we share most of the stories. So that's the best place for people to go, which I couldn't go live on just now, by the way, annoyingly, but never mind. That's one of those things. So yeah, we got gazumped. So we were using the property was being sold through an agent in Heathfield. And I'm just going to double check that nothing's going on. There we go. And you know, yes, like you say, a lot of people would be like, oh my gosh, it's over, finished, we've lost the property. But me being me, and actually talking to a great friend of mine who's been a huge support to us. She used to own her own estate agents, and she's been so fantastic with advice for us about these kind of situations. And talking to her, she's like, look, just go and see the vendor direct. Just turn up, go and see her, and have a conversation. Find out what the scenario is, because the problem is when you go through an estate agent, often things get slightly altered, Chinese whispers can occur, and actually people like to sell to people and buy from people, don't they? And it just felt like the right thing to do. So I went to see the owner, and we had the conversation, and she was absolutely hell-bent that she was going to go with this new person, because he was paying her £10,000 extra, which in the big scheme of things is tiny. And like I say, he hadn't even got his house under offer at this point. So it was a kind of mad situation. And so it just took a bit of gentle persuasion, may I say, and we were by that point under offer. So I just had to sell her the whole, story and reassure her that we were absolutely going through with the purchase. And obviously we did end up paying the extra 10,000 on top, which is a bit annoying, but it was all worth it. It was all worth it in the end.
Amazing. Yeah. And are you happy to share figures, or?
Yeah, of course.
That's what was the purchase price?
So the purchase price was £250,000 for that first plot.
And what was that? So you said it was basically a bit of land, a shack and a barn, you said?
Yeah, in about a quarter of an acre. So it was a small plot. I say small, I mean, that's, and actually it was slightly more than a quarter. It was in between a quarter and a half an acre. And I think we paid originally 240, and then we went to 250, or it was 250 and went to 260. I can't remember which.